So now y'all come into my kitchen. This is Cooking Today. Hi, welcome to Cooking Today. I'm glad that you're here. I have had my kids home. You know, I love having my kids home from college. And when they come home, they have real specific things that they love to, you know, for me to fix and for them to eat. And I'll tell you, Grace Hannon has a Pinterest board. Y'all know Pinterest. And she pins recipes and like tags me in them and all that so that I'll be sure to know what it is that she wants to eat. It's like a request board. And she has the strongest flavor profile. Like I think I've told y'all before, Sam loves Cajun food. He loves beans and collards and black-eyed peas and Cajun seasoning and, you know, all of that kind of stuff. That's really his thing. And Grace Hannon loves anything that is sun-dried tomatoes, spinach, artichokes, pasta, capers, anything like that that's kind of briny and tangy and vinegary and maybe falls a little bit in like the Greek / a little bit of like a nod to Italian. That is her flavor profile. We have laughed about it so many times. Dips, pastas, chicken recipes, you name it, that's her thing. So, having had my kids home recently, this was something that Grace requested that we make together, and it was really fun. I love having them in the kitchen with me. They're not in here all the time, you know, they're busy and around and sleeping. You know how, you know, teenagers do, college students, catching up on their Z's on the couch. But she and I have recently spent quite a bit of time together in the kitchen when she's been home, and it has just been a treat. So this is a spinach and sun-dried tomato tortellini pasta with some good chicken pulled in it. And then it's got this good garlic and, you know, garlic and onion base that is always so delicious. We start that way here all the time, don't we? A few shakes of red pepper flakes. It's really good, a good cream sauce. And y'all, this is one of those meals that you can make in under 30 minutes on like a weeknight or a busy school night. So you really might want to, you know, add this one to your arsenal. Lots of good flavors, creamy and a little bit tangy and meaty from our chicken. So I have started with about a half of a chopped onion. I like to use a Vidalia onion, like a sweet onion, because it's a little bit milder than white, you know, like a white Spanish onion or red. I just really like it, and you can usually find them at your grocery store. So they're usually called a sweet onion or a Vidalia onion. So I've used half of one of those, and I have preheated some oil in my Creuset braiser. You know, I use that all the time around here. Y'all have seen it. It's trusty and handy and tried and true. And I have swirled it with a little bit of oil. If you don't have a braiser, you can get one at Unimaze. But if you don't have one at your house, then you need to do it in a pan that's got, you know, kind of wide and low, but has some pretty good high sides, because we're going to start throwing stuff in, throwing stuff in, throwing stuff in, and it's ultimately all going to end up in that pan. So you need to have a shallow, wide pan with high sides. I mean, y'all, I use it all the time. You've seen me. It is probably my favorite piece of cookware. So even if you can't get this one, get something like it in shape, because you're going to be really surprised at how many times it becomes your go-to pan, because it works for, you know, everything. Okay, so I am just giving my onions just a little saute for just a minute in my olive oil. And then on my other burner, I'm going to go ahead and turn this on. I'm going to go ahead, this is important, get your water boiling for your pasta, because you kind of want to get your sauce made first, okay? Sauce made first. Then, as soon as your sauce is ready, you want your water boiling, because we're going to use store-bought tortellini. You know, these little guys that come like this, and they cook in not very long, 7 or 8 minutes or so. And so you don't want to have those ready and then not have your pasta ready or your sauce ready. You want to have your sauce ready first and let it just sit. That was me turning the heat down. Let it just sit. And then boil your tortellini so that the minute that those are done, you can ladle them over into your cream sauce. Does that make sense? You kind of have to be thinking in advance so that you kind of have everything ready to go when it's time. And then put it all together in your pan. Now I just have a couple of cloves of garlic. I think I say 3 in the recipe. These were actually a little bit hearty. So since I had kind of a fat one, I don't know that I'm going to use all 3. I think I'm just going to use these 2. And then I've got my onions. You don't want to cook your onions on high heat, y'all. You want to do it on about medium-low heat or so, because you just want them to get nice and tender. We're not looking for caramelized onions. We don't want them to have color, just nice and tender. So those are going. We're going to throw in our garlic and stir it. When we come back, we'll start throwing in all the good add-ins for this pasta. It's cooking today. Hi, welcome back to Cooking Today. We are making this really, really good spinach and sun-dried tomato tortellini pasta that I actually said when we first opened that it's probably a 30-minute meal. It may not even be a 30-minute meal. It could be more like a 20-minute meal, which is even more of like a hooray, right? Because we want something that we can kind of have a little fresh, have a little store-bought, have a little elbow grease, but have something kind of easy to throw together. So it's going to taste really, really good, but we have a few really easy shortcuts to make it a great family-friendly recipe. So I have sauteed a half of a Vidalia onion, just a sweet onion, and a little bit of oil on low heat. And you really kind of keep your temperature a little bit low during this whole cream sauce that we're making. There's just a couple times that we're going to turn it up, but then we're going to turn it right back down. So on our low heat, now that our onions have kind of gotten tender, we're going to stir in 2 fat cloves of garlic. You could do 3 if your cloves are a little small. You could do 4 if you love garlic. I love garlic. And you know the rule with garlic, if you've learned nothing else on this show, is that once you start to smell garlic, which will start to happen in like about a minute and a half, you need to go ahead and get a little bit of liquid and a little moisture on it so that they don't burn up. Garlic will turn black as coal, and they're tiny little pieces, and you can't fish them out. And it is a disaster. Then you start all the way back over with the other half of your onion that we didn't use. And then, you know, get going again. Okay, so while my heat is on low and my onions and my garlic are getting tender, I'm gonna stir my garlic after I gave y'all that spill about it. Yeah, we're good since I've got my heats really, really down. Okay, we are adding in our sun-dried tomatoes. Y'all, that smell, it's so briny and vinegary and yummy and tart, you know, that tang that is so good in this creamy pasta. And you know, you just get this little jar. It's like just a tall, skinny jar. And I'll tell you where I find it, because sometimes they're hard to find. I find it with the canned tomatoes at my grocery store. Sometimes they might be in the salad dressing section with like the other kind of marinated pickled things like marinated olives and you know, pickles and like salad toppings. So, you know, I'm just trying to help y'all out because this is such an important ingredient in this, and they are a little bit tough to find at the grocery. So look by the tomatoes or look in the salad dressing aisle with all those good little tangy toppers, and that will hopefully relieve a little bit of your grief. Okay, I can smell my garlic. It's just starting to look tender, so it's time. So what I'm gonna do, these are so oily, I keep having to wash my hands. Oh, they're delicious, y'all. So I have drained a little bit of that liquid out of those sun-dried tomatoes, but there's still some in the bottom of my jar. We're gonna keep that out for just 1 second, because what I wanna do is add about a half a cup or so of sun-dried tomatoes. And again, This is your pasta. So if you are nuts about sun-dried tomatoes, add more. It doesn't matter one bit. They're delicious and they are so pretty, the color. Add more if you would like. So I'm giving these a little tiny saute, giving them, you know, a little bit of oil in the bottom of my skillet. And then I'm actually going to pour the littlest bit of the oil that's in the bottom of this jar because it's good and it's more flavor and it's oil. And we needed to get a little bit more liquid on, you know, our garlic. So I'm just using that liquid. All right, let me do a little cleanup while that is still sauteing down just a little bit. It smells awesome in here, y'all. Okay. Let me tell you what our cream sauce is. So now that we have our kind of our good little flavor base of our onions, garlic, and our sun-dried tomatoes are getting nice and tender, what we're going to do is we're going to add in, I'm not going to do it yet. We're going to let that keep going for a second. We have 2 cups of half and half that we're going to pour in. We have a half of a cup. I think I went a little generous. We're probably about 3/4 on here. About a half a cup, 3/4 of shredded mozzarella. And then we have some grated parm. My family calls this shake cheese. I don't know what y'all call it at your house, but we call it shake cheese. So there's parm that comes in like a wedge that we've used on salads and good Italian, you know, pastas and all that you actually have to grate yourself. In this recipe, we're using shake cheese, and it's the good kind. There is a good kind, and then there's kind of a knockoff. Get something that's rich, that says it has a couple of different flavors of cheese in it. You will love it. It's really got a good, nice, deep nuttiness. So when we come back, y'all, this is gonna come together. We're gonna pour in our creams, whisk our cream sauce, add in our spinach, and call it a day. And that's so easy. Come back, this is Cooking Today. Welcome back. We are making this wonderful pasta. It is so quick, y'all. I mean, quick. It is a great one to have in your arsenal for your family nights, your after work, but have to go to choir practice or whatever, basketball games, whatever it is that y'all do at night. This is one of those that you can kind of pull together, a little bit store-bought, a little bit of elbow grease, great, rich flavor. So we have sauteed down our onions, our garlic, and a little bit of sun-dried tomatoes and their oil. And it smells fantastic. Oh my word. And all we're gonna do, like I said, we have not had our heat on our stove. I have not turned it up any more than about a 2, which is like low plus a little, okay? Tiniest bit of sizzle while our pan is sauteing our little veggies. And then I'm gonna pour in my 2 cups of half and half. And what I love is that little bit of oil that we used from the sun-dried tomatoes kind of tints that half and half cream. So it's pretty, it's not just a white sauce, it's kind of like this pinkish sauce. Now, here is the only time that I'm gonna turn my heat up a little bit, and I'm not gonna turn it up much. I'm gonna turn it up to about medium low, because we have this cream in here, this half and half, and it's, a little finicky. We don't want it to scald, but it needs to be warm enough that when we pour in our cheeses, it's gonna melt it, make it all good and creamy and thick. So I've got my mozzarella here and my parm here, and I've turned my heat up the littlest bit. I have my covered pot of water raring to go. I can hear it, it's got activity, and I don't want to lift the lid because you lose your heat and it may, lessen your boil. So it's just on hold so that when it's time to drop in our store-bought tortellini, it will do its job. Do y'all love these flavors? I love these flavors so much. And I was trying to be real disciplined and not add bacon to it, but I'll be completely honest, bacon in all things would be really, really good. So you could crisp a little bit. You know, I've done that a million times on here. Do a little bacon, a couple strips, cut them into like little, like 1/4-inch strips, like lardons that we've talked about before. Saute those, get a little crispy bacon to throw on at the end. I'm not doing it today, but it sure would be good. Always. Have we ever put bacon on one thing that didn't taste delicious? Okay, so I brought my heat up. I'm watching for there to be just a little tiny bit of activity. And then what we're going to do is put in our mozzarella, and it's going to kind of go from stringy, where you think, oh my goodness, this may not work, to melted and smooth, okay? So you just want to stir it. And then I'm going to go ahead and shake in my parm. So the mozzarella kind of adds thickening to it, like a thickening cheese, and is creamy. The parm actually creates a little bit of texture. So it's going to have this littlest bit of grit, which is like a good homemade, like Alfredo sauce, generally has a little bit of grit in it, and I love that. And parm is a little nutty, and so we're adding all these great little depths of flavor in our sauce. So stir, 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 and I just don't want it to scald. I want to be sure I don't feel anything happening on the bottom of the pan, because that would mean my milk might be thickening, or my cream might be thickening a little. So we want to make sure to kind of keep, you know, kind of be mindful of that. At this point, I'm going to do a pinch of salt. And I'm going to do a pinch of black pepper. You could use white pepper if you would rather. Oh my goodness, y'all. When that cheese starts to heat up, you know, when things start to warm up, they start to kind of release their scents and aromas. Y'all, it just, that parm in there is so good. Okay, I'm stirring it around, and now that I can tell that it's really melting it, I'm going to go ahead and turn it back down to kind of low and let it finish off. It's like making gravy. Remember, we've made gravy here before. You kind of want to bring it just to a boil and feel it thicken, and then get it right back down. Because you don't want to boil or scald. Ugh. Okay, here we go. Next, we have, this is a real technical term, 3 big handfuls of spinach. You can measure spinach, but you know it's all leafy, and you don't press it down. It's kind of hard to me to measure a leafy green. So here's what I call a handful. Ready? There's 1, there's 2, and we have a 3rd in there. Plus, spinach is just going to kind of wilt down. So all we're going to do, now that this has gotten nice and hot, I'm way down low again, is pour my spinach in there and let the heat, I'm just going to kind of fold it in, let the heat from that sauce start to wilt that spinach down. And when we come back, are you ready for this? We're going to stick our store-bought tortellini in and let them boil, easy. And we're going to throw in our store-bought rotisserie chicken that we've pulled, and we're done. So good. Come back. This is Cooking Today. Welcome back to Cooking Today. We are wrapping up this pasta, y'all, that is so good. Store-bought cheese tortellini. I just get a 3 cheese. You can get spinach, you can get whatever. We made this delicious cream sauce with sun-dried tomatoes and spinach. I told y'all that was going to cook down all that spinach. Remember our 3 big hands full? And then we just boiled our pasta, and that's it, and then toss it in. Look how easy this is. Oh my goodness. Smoky and delicious. Oh my word, we have sun-dried tomatoes and sauteed onions and garlic for good flavor. I just saw a little bit of a pull, like a cheese pull from some mozz that we stirred in. We have some parm, that spinach, and you could stop right here if you wanted to. If you wanted to serve this beside grilled chicken, you could. what we like to do is just, again, for quick weeknight, is get a rotisserie chicken from the deli and go ahead and just pull it and tuck it in there and stir it in as much or as little as you would like. Makes it so nice and hearty. Then all I do, oh, y'all, my stomach's growling. Stir this in. We're gonna do a little bit of basil, fresh basil, squeeze some fresh lemon on top, and plate it. Oh my goodness, this is so good. Grace Hannon knows what she's, talking about when we talk about these flavors. These are her absolute favorites. This is for her. I hope you'll try it at home. Love every bite. This is Cooking Today.